Hey there, this is Perch. Talking about comic numbers today. So we've seen a few months now come down the pipe, and I don't think the comic numbers, in terms of the sales and the unit numbers, are terribly surprising. A lot of people hold them up and kind of draw various conclusions out from them, one direction or another. But I don't believe that these numbers are terribly surprising based on what we knew was going to happen this year. So first off, I think the immediate conclusion people want to jump to is the comic industry doing well or doing poorly? And not to rehash it all from previous videos in this channel, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes to both. It is doing well in areas, and it's doing poorly in areas, and that is a true statement. It's kind of doing both. And it's also not as simple as, some people have used the analysis of, hey, to kind of fake the numbers, they've pulled in the crowdfunding. That's been something that's been pretty popular on a few YouTube channels. It is true that in some of the more recent kind of calculations of numbers, they've drawn in other things, including more of the scholastic numbers have come available that weren't as readily available before. And yes, the crowdfunding for sure. But that's kind of it's almost an irrelevant. It's why I'm not a big fan of batching all these things together and talking about it all at once, because it allows different groups to kind of tell different stories and ignore kind of the goods or the bads within the specifics. So the thing to talk about right now, and then we're seeing playing out this year, is you're seeing more dollars in a lot of cases, but you're also seeing fewer orders of actual units. And on some level, there's some just common sense wisdom there. And the common sense bit is comics cost more. We've had a couple of high priced comics. Therefore, if those dollars, those retail dollars are up and orders are down, then that's a logical sense. It means fewer comics are being sold, but the money that's being made from the fewer of the comics that are being sold is more. And kind of right off the bat, is that a bad thing? Um, on the surface, it's not. I mean, in theory, if you have more intrinsic value into a single product and you're making money off that, and it's enough to either sustain or even grow the industry, then that's not a bad result. It's the goal is not to move lots and lots and lots of units. The goal is to make profit off of those units and have a stable business off those units. What is better? Put it this way: if you're going to make money, what's better? Is it you're making $100 off of 10 items because you've sold 10 things and you make $10 a piece, so therefore $100? Or is it better to make $100 from selling 100 items priced at a dollar each? So are you going to move 100 units or are you going to move 10 units? Which is better as a business? Well, the answer is kind of both in different ways. It's a lot less work, a lot less operational maintenance you have to do to sell just 10 copies of something. So, better to sell 10 copies than 100 because it's fewer work to acquire those readers to get that money. However, the other side of that argument is 10 people spending $10 each is more at risk of deterioration in the market than 100 people spending $1 each. So if 10%, well, let's do it a different way because that would actually come out the same. But if you lost two customers paying $10 each, you've lost $20 out of that 100. If you lose two customers out of the 100, you're out $2. So I mean, when you have your money diversified, when you have it spread out, it's a little bit more stable to kind of random acts of people walking away. But the same is true also in the other direction. People coming in. If you acquire one new customer at $10, you're making more money than having to acquire 10 customers that are new to get the $1 each. And it's more the positive, I think, angle that comics have typically looked at their business. They've looked at it more along the lines of, we'd rather acquire fewer customers spending more money than lots and lots of customers spending less, just by the sheer nature of kind of moving physical product around and how comics work. And that's not a bad, that's sound business logic. There's nothing inherently wrong about that business logic. The challenge that we have is that if there's a tipping point where if you charge people more and more and more, you kind of suck more dollars out of the same customers. You're enticing those customers to leave. You're giving them a really good reason to go. And if you are not acquiring users at the same rate as you're losing users, then you have a problem. And that from my perspective, and I know there's a big disagreement about this. That's the challenge facing comics today, and that's where we sit. We're doing more to discourage people from spending money than encouraging people from spending money. The rate of out is faster than the rate of coming in. And I think the numbers show that. Even though the dollars have gone up, this year is better, or 2018 is better than 2017, and we see strength in different areas. And this would even include the crowdfunding stuff. We've got crowdfunding comics coming in at $25 a pop. So it's definitely taking that mentality of higher priced unit, fewer customers, but more prestigious, more dollars out of those customers, more prestigious product. And it works for crowdfunding because you're starting from zero. You don't have a store involved. You've got a lot of kind of other scenarios there. But I think that the threat to comics is as you start to, we've had such price growth over the last several years that it's going to be hard for comic companies to push it to $5.99 a comic. There's actually some psychological barrier to $4.99, keeping it under $5 that I think's important. And I do think you'll see all the comics catch up, and pretty soon everything will be $4.99. And then you'll have the occasional issues, and that's where the test will be done of kind of Action Comics 1000 priced at $10. What do you think Marvel Comics 1000 is going to be priced at? I'm guessing that one's going to go 12. I think Marvel's going to use this. They've done a couple of $9.99 comics with X-Men and with Deadpool and Spider-Man and some other things. I think Marvel's going to go, let's see what $12 will do. Let's see what, or maybe even higher, maybe 15. I will be surprised if that sticks at 10. By the time you actually hear this video, because I'm recording this way in advance, we'll know. So you can tell me immediately in the comments if I was an idiot or not. But that's my prediction anyway. Um, I think this is discouraging people away from comics, and there's not a good influx of new people coming in. The movies aren't bringing people in. The kid market is going more the route of Pilkey and Telmeyer and people like that. There's Scholastic is kind of doing their own thing. There's the new audience is being catered to in a different way. And so for the big publishers and for comics, you've got to figure out how do you bring new customers into the mix. And that can't be with, True Believer $1 comics. It can't be with kind of just reprinting things. It's got to be with a really strong hook to an audience. And this has been the argument people have used to say, this is why Marvel's doing some of the social stuff they do and why they reach out to different audiences. They're trying to grow a different audience. That's fine and great on you, but the price point is still what it is. It's high. So we're looking at the numbers and we're seeing that money is going up, but units are going down. And if and maybe time will tell that this is true. If it's purely a matter of the market is settling itself out, the casual readers are kind of going away, but the firm platform, the people who are going to spend money every single month are solidifying and they're comfortable with the new price point, then great. Produce fewer units, have a higher price point, and the world works out. That's okay. That's not a bad place to wind up. But I don't think that is what we're seeing. I think we're seeing an erosion of customers. I think we're seeing people who have been in on comics and are grumbling, but spending the $4.99 or the $9.99. And I think if you look at the bigger picture over the last 4 years or so, I think you are seeing attrition happen at a faster rate of people coming in. And I think when the numbers were produced that included all these other different fields, the direct market, graphic novels, and everything else, I think that you are seeing certainly growth in the kids sector, in Scholastic, and yes, in crowdfunding and all those different areas. But the erosion of that core audience is still happening. And the money is masking it a little bit, but you're still bleeding some users, and there's not a clear plan for how to bring those users in. And I think that's the thing we need to talk about more on this channel. How do you get new users in? We've talked about the kid market, talked about a few different angles. I think that's what has to be done. We have to figure that out. What do you think? Hey, leave some comments. Would love to hear what you think. Like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. Let me know. Let me know where I'm right, wrong, anywhere in the middle. Thanks for listening.